Stop scrolling because this isn't just gossip. This is a jailhouse nightmare that has the entire internet in meltdown. King Harris, the flashy, diamond-dripping son of hip-hop legend T.I., has just been viciously attacked behind bars, and the chaos is uglier than anything you've ever imagined. Hours after his sentencing, fists flew, guards scrambled, and leaked footage started spreading like wildfire. But here's the real kicker. Was this just a random scuffle, or a calculated hit meant to break him down and send a message to his father's empire? Fans are panicking, enemies are celebrating, and conspiracy theories are exploding online. One thing is clear, King Harris isn't untouchable anymore. And what happens next could shatter the Harris dynasty forever. Stay locked in because this is just the beginning of a scandal that's about to erupt worldwide. King Harris. The name itself carries the weight of hip-hop royalty, the swagger of the South, and the controversial spotlight that never seems to leave the Harris dynasty. As the son of rap legend T.I. and Tiny, King grew up with the world watching him from reality TV to Instagram lives, dripping in designer clothes and diamond chains. He wasn't just a celebrity kid. He was a walking headline, a bundle of chaos, arrogance, and charisma rolled into one. And now, his reckless choices have caught up with him in the most brutal way possible. The night of his sentencing should have been a sobering wake-up call. A courtroom packed with reporters, bloggers, and influencers all waiting to see whether the flashy Prince of Atlanta would get a slap on the wrist or a harsh lesson from the system. Cameras flashed as King strutted in, trying to hide his nerves behind a cocky smirk. He had been warned countless times by his father, by his mother, even by fans online who begged him to slow down before he ruined his life. But King was convinced he was untouchable. The judge saw otherwise. With a rap sheet full of reckless driving, DUI charges, weapons possession, and failure to appear in court, the verdict was grim. When that gavel slammed, King Harris wasn't just sentenced, he was stripped of the illusion that fame and family name could shield him from consequences. His head lowered for a split second, his mask slipping before he forced the smirk back onto his face for the cameras. But behind those eyes was the truth. Fear. And that fear proved justified. Hours after being processed and thrown into his new reality, the unthinkable happened. Whispers began swirling online almost instantly. Rumors of a scuffle, a fight, an incident inside those prison walls. At first, it sounded like gossip, the kind of chatter you expect when a celebrity kid gets locked up. But then, grainy footage started leaking online and the internet exploded. The blurry clip showed King Harris pressed against a wall, fists flying, chaos erupting around him as guards scrambled to intervene. It was less than 30 seconds long, but it was enough to ignite a wildfire of speculation and outrage. Social media went nuclear. Twitter timelines flooded with hashtags, like #King Harris attacked and #chaos behind bars. TikTok edits popped up within minutes, splicing together King's old Instagram flexes with the jailhouse fight. Captions reading, "From VIP to victim." Memes rolled in. Brutal and relentless. Real life ain't Wi-Fi. But the jokes were only half the story. The darker whispers told a different tale. Was this a random scuffle, a case of a spoiled celebrity rubbing inmates the wrong way? Or was this something bigger, a calculated takedown, orchestrated to send a message to both King and his powerful father? Anonymous inmate insider accounts started flooding the comments, claiming King was targeted from the moment he walked through those doors. One alleged they wanted to test him, see if the King could bleed like everyone else. Another claimed it was gang politics, a move by connected groups inside the prison to humble the loudmouth newcomer with the flashy past. Meanwhile, back in Atlanta, T.I. was reportedly furious. Sources whispered that the rap mogul was already calling in favors, demanding answers, and threatening legal action. Pamela, King's mother, was spotted outside her home, visibly shaken, her face telling the world everything her silence didn't. Paparazzi captions screamed, "Pamela Warner in tears after King's brutal attack." The public reaction was just as divided. Some fans expressed horror, flooding comment sections with prayers and calls for protection. Others mocked him mercilessly, saying karma had finally caught up with the kid who thought he was untouchable. And beneath it all, the conspiracies grew louder. Some believed King's attack was tied to T.I.'s old beefs, enemies from the past now targeting his son. Others whispered that prison officials let it happen, turning a blind eye to send their own message. Fame doesn't matter here. But here's the kicker. This wasn't just about King Harris getting roughed up. This was about the collapse of an image, the unraveling of a dynasty, and the terrifying reality that what happened that night might only be the beginning. Because while King nursed his bruises and the internet feasted on his humiliation, the real question loomed. What happens next? Will T.I. pull every string in his arsenal to shield his son from further attacks? Or will King Harris become just another cautionary tale? The spoiled prince who thought he was untouchable until prison broke him down? Stay locked in, because this scandal isn't cooling down anytime soon. If anything, it's only about to jeet the chaos inside those prison walls. Wasn't just some random scuffle. No, this was the moment where King Harris's carefully crafted persona, the cocky, diamond-dripped son of a rap legend, collided with cold, hard reality. And when reality hit, it hit like a freight train. According to anonymous accounts spilling onto Twitter and Reddit within hours of the incident. King hadn't even made it through his first full day before things erupted. Eyewitness whispers claimed that his arrival had stirred resentment immediately. The flashy hair, the designer sneakers he reportedly tried to keep during processing, the smirk on his face as if prison was just another stage, all of it painted a target on his back. One alleged insider account wrote, "He came in acting like he was still on Instagram Live. People weren't having it. The vibe was, we're gonna humble you fast." And humble him. They did. The leaked footage, though grainy, showed just enough. King shoved against the wall, fists landing fast, his head snapping back under the pressure. Guards rushing in late, scrambling as chaos echoed down the corridor. 30 seconds of pure humiliation, and that was all it took to spark a wildfire online. But here's where the story took its first brutal twist. Because this wasn't just some heated argument gone too far. No. Multiple so-called inmate insiders swore this was orchestrated. A planned takedown, not an accident. Why? That's where the theory starts spiraling. Some claimed it was gang politics, that a new high-profile inmate like King had to be tested immediately, forced to prove himself or fold. Others believed it went deeper, tied to his father's legacy. Old beefs, rivalries from T.I.'s street past, bubbling up inside the prison walls and passed down to King. This wasn't about King, one viral post read. This was about sending a message to T.I. You can't protect him in here. The twist. As this footage and speculation exploded online, prison officials went into full damage control mode. Their official statement called it a minor altercation. It creeped in, insisting that no life-threatening injuries occurred and that the situation was handled swiftly. But fans weren't buying it. Not when the leaked footage showed guards standing back for what felt like an eternity before stepping in. Not when King was clearly roughed up worse than officials admitted. Then came the wildest revelation yet. Late night, gossip blogs began circulating. Whispers that money might have changed hands. That this attack wasn't just about prison politics or T.I.'s legacy, but something darker. A setup. A takedown designed to embarrass the Harris family on a public stage. Some pointed fingers at rival rappers who had long resented T.I.'s King of the South moniker, hinting that enemies could have paid to make sure King was humbled the second he set foot behind bars. It sounds insane, right? But in the world of hip-hop beefs and industry grudges, nothing is ever off the table. Meanwhile, King's family was spiraling. T, furious, reportedly stormed into backdoor meetings with lawyers, threatening lawsuits and demanding answers. One insider claimed he was even considering pulling political strings to get his son transferred to protective custody. T.I. warned him this life wasn't a game. The insider told one blog, and now he's living every parent's nightmare. Watching his kid get chewed up by the streets he thought were just a storyline. Pamela King's mother was another story. Paparazzi caught her outside her Atlanta home in tears, dodging reporters but clearly shaken. Anonymous sources painted her as livid, not just at the prison, but at T.I. himself. One viral headline screamed, "Pamela blames T.I. for King's downfall. I warned him," though no one could confirm if she actually said those words. Didn't matter. The internet believed it. And the narrative of a fractured Harris family spread like wildfire. Fans online were split down the middle. Half blamed King entirely, calling him arrogant, spoiled, and reckless. "This is karma." One comment read, "He's been acting untouchable for too long." Others begged for sympathy, reminding the world that he was just a young man making mistakes. He's still someone's child. One tweet with 50,000 likes declared, "Prison isn't the place for him. He needs help, not humiliation. He needs help, not humiliation." But the biggest twist of all came when a second video leaked. Unlike the blurry 30-second clip that first went viral, this one was longer, clearer, and far more brutal. It allegedly showed King being dragged across the floor, guards swarming in too late, shouts echoing through the corridor. And at one point, you could hear someone yelling, "That's T.I.'s boy." That moment changed everything. This wasn't just a fight anymore. This was personal. This was a spectacle. Someone wanted it to be seen. Someone wanted the world to watch the son of T.I. get broken down, his arrogance ripped apart in front of millions. And that's exactly what happened. The memes doubled. The outrage grew louder, and the Harris dynasty's reputation crumbled further. T.I.'s sponsorships began to dry up. Interviews were canceled. Even one music festival allegedly pulled him from its lineup, not wanting to touch the chaos. Overnight, the Harris name went from hip-hop royalty to tabloid tragedy. And for King, the bruises would heal, sure, but the humiliation that would linger forever. Every step he took behind bars from that moment on, eyes would be watching, waiting to see if the so-called prince could survive in a world that didn't care who his daddy was. The internet had one question on its mind, one that fans debated endlessly in comment sections and podcasts alike. Was King Harris a victim of a setup? Or was this just the brutal reality check he had been begging for all along? And the darker question still remained. If this was only the first day, what would the next bring? Because make no mistake, this wasn't the climax of King Harris's downfall. This was only the beginning. Et uglier. If you thought King Harris's brutal takedown inside the jail was the peak of the scandal, think again. Because the hours and days that followed revealed something far darker, far more explosive, and possibly even orchestrated. This wasn't just a fight. This was the spark that lit a firestorm threatening to burn down the Harris dynasty from the inside out. At first, prison authorities tried their best to keep things quiet. Their minor altercation statement was meant to calm the storm, but it had the opposite effect. Fans online immediately called cap. Clips were spreading, inmate accounts were spilling details, and bloggers smelled blood in the water. But what really sent the internet into overdrive was the emergence of a second leak. This wasn't blurry, shaky footage. This was clearer, longer, and way more damning. In the clip, King could be seen being dragged across the floor, guards scrambling far too late, and someone's voice cutting through the chaos. That's T.I.'s boy. It wasn't just humiliation. It was a message, the kind that made you wonder if the whole thing had been staged from the jump. And then came the shocking reveal. Anonymous prison insiders told gossip blogs that this attack wasn't random at all. No, it was greenlit. Word on the inside was that someone had put a target on King's back before he even walked through those gates. One alleged source claimed that money had exchanged hands. That rival cruise with ties to T.I.'s past orchestrated the whole thing to humiliate the Harris family. This wasn't about King, one insider alleged. This was about power, about showing T.I. that even his money can't protect his son in here. That revelation hit like a bombshell. Suddenly, what looked like a prison fight was now being spun as a conspiracy. Old enemies resurfacing. Street politics leaking into jail walls. And King Harris caught in the middle of a war he didn't start but couldn't escape. Meanwhile, T.I. was said to be in meltdown mode. Behind the scenes, insiders whispered that he was calling in every favor he had, reaching out to politicians, lawyers, and even industry heavyweights to figure out how to protect his son. Some claimed he wanted King moved into protective custody immediately. Others said he was threatening lawsuits so explosive they could rock the Georgia prison system. And let's not forget Pamela Warner, King's mother, who paparazzi caught crying outside her home. Anonymous sources claimed she was furious with T.I., allegedly blaming him for letting King play gangster instead of reining him in. Whether true or not, it painted a picture of a fractured family breaking apart under the spotlight, and then came the twist nobody saw coming. Leaked documents allegedly from within the prison itself began circulating online. They suggested that the guards had been warned beforehand about possible threats to King Harris's safety but did nothing to prevent it. One blog ran the headline, "Setup Exposed." Guards ignored warnings before King Harris's attack. Screenshots of supposed memos claiming high-profile inmate at risk sent social media spiraling. If those leaks were real, it meant officials didn't just fail to protect King. They let it happen. The reaction was immediate. Hashtags like #JusticeForKing and #ProtectKingHarris shot to the top of trending lists. Fans demanded an investigation, some even calling for federal intervention. But others weren't so sympathetic. In fact, the backlash against King grew even harsher. Critics flooded TikTok and Twitter with takes like he wanted to be a gangster. Now he's living like one? No sympathy. But the darkest reveal came not from a guard or a blogger, but from inside the prison itself. An anonymous inmate account claimed that King had been marked for humiliation, not death. At least, not yet. They wanted to break him down. Make him understand this isn't Instagram. This is real life, the account wrote. Another added, "First was a warning. Next time, it won't be just fists." That single sentence chilled everyone to the bone. Because if true, it meant King Harris wasn't just facing humiliation. He was facing a ticking time bomb, a prison system where every day could be his last. And every hallway held someone waiting to test the so-called Prince of Hip Hop. And while the Harris family scrambled to manage the chaos, the entertainment industry was reacting in real time. Brands quietly distanced themselves from T.I., fearful of the controversy. A music festival dropped him from its lineup, citing unforeseen circumstances. Interviews and appearances were canceled. Overnight, the Harris name was no longer a symbol of power, but a symbol of scandal. But here's where things got even wilder. Some conspiracy theorists began suggesting that this wasn't just about prison politics or T.I.'s enemies. No, they claimed the industry itself, the shadowy powers in hip-hop who pull strings behind the scenes, wanted the Harris family taken down a peg. One viral YouTube video racked up millions of views by connecting dots between T.I.'s old beefs, record label disputes, and King's jailhouse attack. The conclusion: this wasn't just street politics. This was industry revenge. Was it true? Nobody could say. But in the world of celebrity gossip, the truth mattered less than the spectacle. And the spectacle was bigger than ever. King Harris, the once cocky, untouchable son of a rap legend, was now the internet's obsession, not because of his music, not because of his lifestyle, but because of his downfall. Every bruise, every leaked clip, every rumor was content. And with every passing day, the danger around him grew louder, darker, and deadlier. Because if the first attack was just a warning, the next one might not leave him standing. The brutal attack on King Harris wasn't just a prison story anymore. It had officially spilled into the public sphere, igniting debates, dividing fans, and sending shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Social media became the courtroom, and the verdicts were messy, emotional, and relentless. Twitter lit up first. The hashtags #ProtectKingHarris, #KarmaForKing, and #T-Embarrassed trended simultaneously, painting a picture of a fan base torn straight down the middle. On one side, die-hard Harris supporters demanded justice, blaming the prison system for failing to protect a high-profile inmate. They tweeted things like, "It doesn't matter what he did. No human deserves to be jumped like that, and T.I. needs to get his boy out now." On the other side, critics were merciless. King played gangster. Now he's living gangster consequences, and T.I.'s money can't buy respect in jail. TikTok wasn't any kinder. Creators stitched clips of King flexing cash and jewelry with the leaked footage of him being shoved around inside jail corridors. One viral post racked up 5 million views with the caption, "From luxury cars to lunch trays, the downfall of King Harris." The meme culture was brutal. One video spliced King's Instagram Live where he bragged about being untouchable, with the moment guards dragged him after the fight. The caption, "Reality check delivered," but the backlash didn't stop with jokes and memes. The attack triggered serious conversations about privilege, nepotism, and accountability. Podcasts and YouTubers flooded timelines with think pieces. Was King Harris the victim of prison politics, or was this simply karma for years of reckless behavior? One popular podcast episode titled "From Prince of Atlanta to Prison Punchline" trended across Spotify, dissecting how King's choices had turned him into a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, the Harris family couldn't hide from the spotlight. Paparazzi captured Pamela Warner, King's mother, outside her Atlanta home with tears streaming down her face. Gossip blogs ran headlines like "Pamela blames T for King's spiral," claiming she privately accused T.I. of enabling King's reckless lifestyle. Whether true or not, the narrative spread like wildfire. T.I., on the other hand, was allegedly livid. Insiders leaked that he stormed into closed-door meetings with lawyers, demanding to know why his son wasn't better protected. One blog even claimed he threatened to sue the state of Georgia for negligence, with the headline, "T.I. prepares legal war after son's jail attack." And yet, while the family fought their battles behind closed doors, the industry was reacting too. Brand deals connected to T.I. began quietly dissolving. One clothing company that had partnered with him for a fall campaign pulled out entirely. Citing image concerns, a major music festival in Miami reportedly dropped him from the lineup, afraid that chaos would overshadow their event. Suddenly, the Harris name wasn't just trending for the wrong reasons, it was becoming toxic. That's when the celebrity reactions started pouring in. Each one only fueled the fire. Rival rapper Boosie went live on Instagram laughing as he said, "Man, I told y'all these lil rich kids ain't built for it. You can't fake real." His comments sparked outrage and applause at the same time, dividing fans even further. Meek Mill, on the other hand, showed sympathy, tweeting, "That boy needs guidance, not jail." Y'all laughing? But this system don't love none of us. The split between mocking and support made King's downfall even more polarizing. Even reality TV stars couldn't resist chiming in. Erica Mena posted on her Instagram story, "The streets are undefeated. That's why I keep telling these kids stop playing with fire. Love and love." And hip-hop fans instantly connected her words to King's collapse, pushing her post to the top of gossip blogs. But the public wasn't just focused on King. Attention quickly shifted to his father, T.I. Once celebrated as a reformed hustler turned mogul, now faced brutal criticism. Comment sections swarmed with posts like, "How you preach about family and respect," right? "But your own son is spiraling out of control." And if T.I. couldn't save his own household, why did anyone ever listen to him about the streets? His credibility, carefully rebuilt over the years, was suddenly under fire. And then came the darker whispers that this attack was never about King at all, but about sending a message to T.I. old enemies resurfaced in the public imagination, with fans speculating about past beefs and rivalries spilling into the prison walls. Blogs plastered headlines like, "Attack on King Harris was payback for T.I.'s past." Theories swirled from rival gangs to industry beefs. Everyone had a different explanation, and every theory only made the scandal more addictive to watch. Through it all, one theme became clear. King Harris's story had stopped being about a reckless celebrity kid and had transformed into a cultural event. It was no longer just about him. It was about power, legacy, and the brutal reminder that fame doesn't protect you when the walls close in, and while the public was divided. The industry was quietly making moves. Some insiders whispered that King's music projects, yes, he had been working on tracks before his arrest, might now be shelved indefinitely. Others speculated labels might try to spin this chaos into profit, betting that his name would draw streams regardless of context. But one chilling truth hung over it all. Inside those prison walls, King Harris wasn't trending. He was surviving. And survival, as everyone knows, doesn't guarantee tomorrow. Because while the memes kept spreading and the hashtags kept trending, whispers from inside the prison claimed this was just the beginning. They tested him. One inmate's relative allegedly told a gossip blog, "Next time, they won't stop at a warning." And that, more than anything, left fans and the industry on edge, just when the world thought they had seen it all. Just when the footage, the memes, and the chaos seemed like enough to bury King Harris's name forever. The story took a twist, darker and more dangerous than anyone could have expected. Because the whispers coming out of that prison weren't about a one-off fight. They were about something calculated, something bigger, and something that might not just destroy King's future, but could bring his entire family legacy crashing down. The first sign came when a second video leaked, not the blurry, shaky clip everyone had already seen, but a clearer, longer recording. This one showed guards dragging King across the floor, his face bruised, his hair disheveled, while voices in the background taunted him. "That's T's son," one inmate shouted in the chaos, the words ringing out like an accusation and a warning all at once. Suddenly, the theory that this was about prison politics gave way to something far more sinister. This wasn't just King Harris being tested as a new inmate. This was King Harris being targeted because of who he was, the son of T.I., the so-called King of the South. Insiders began whispering that the attack wasn't random at all. According to one anonymous guard, they knew exactly who he was the second he walked in. It wasn't about him, it was about his daddy. That statement spread like wildfire. And suddenly the internet was ablaze with conspiracy theories. Old enemies from T.I.'s past, rival rap crews, even gangs with grudges stretching back decades. Everyone had a theory about who ordered the hit. And then came the shocking leak that sent fans into full-blown meltdown. A so-called inmate message posted anonymously on Reddit and Twitter. It claimed that King Harris was marked for more than just humiliation. That was the warning. Next time, it won't stop at a few punches. They want blood, whether real or fake. The post fueled panic. Was King safe at all behind bars? Or was this just the beginning of a much bigger takedown? While the internet spiraled, the Harris family scrambled. T.I. allegedly called in every favor he had, pulling strings with lawyers, politicians, even high-ranking correctional officials trying to get King moved to a safer facility. Some blogs claimed he demanded solitary confinement for his son, while others whispered he was pushing for a transfer to a cushy federal institution where his fame might actually protect him. But here's where the twist got even uglier. Rumors surfaced that other inmates were already furious at the special treatment King was allegedly receiving. One insider claimed the guards can't protect him 24/7. And the more they try, the more it paints a target on his back. Meanwhile, Pamela Warner, King's mother, reportedly broke down behind closed doors, blaming T.I. directly. Gossip blogs ran with alleged quotes. "I begged him to stop letting King play gangster. I begged him to rein him in. Now look where we are. I could lose my son," whether true or exaggerated. The story painted a devastating picture. A family divided, scrambling, and watching helplessly as their son's arrogance spiraled into life or death. Its consequences. But the biggest twist wasn't just the physical attack. It was the fallout outside those prison walls. Suddenly, brands were bailing, festivals were canceling, and even longtime collaborators were distancing themselves from T.I. the Harris name. Once untouchable in Atlanta was now radioactive. A hip-hop journalist summed it up best. This isn't just about King. This is about a dynasty crumbling in real time, and just when the dust seemed ready to settle. Another leak exploded online, court documents suggesting that King's sentencing might not be the end of his legal troubles. Allegedly, prosecutors were digging into additional charges tied to the October 2024 arrest, potential firearm enhancements, probation violations, and even links to a broader investigation. If true, King wasn't just facing a bruised face and a bad reputation. He could be looking at years, not months, behind bars. That revelation turned the internet upside down again. Fans who once thought this was just a cautionary tale of arrogance now debated whether King was being set up to take a bigger fall than anyone expected. One viral tweet read, "This ain't about King. This is about making an example out of T.I.'s whole family." And so here we are at the cliffhanger no one saw coming. King Harris isn't just a spoiled celebrity kid who got humbled. He's a young man caught in a dangerous storm of prison politics, family legacy, and legal chaos that could swallow him whole. The bruises might heal. The memes might fade. But the threats, the investigations, and the enemies, they're only just beginning. The real question now isn't whether King can bounce back. It's whether he can survive. Just when fans thought the chaos surrounding King Harris couldn't get any worse, the story took a turn that nobody was prepared for. Because while the bruises and memes were already fueling headlines, the real twist was happening behind the scenes, where power, politics, and revenge all collided in the most dangerous way possible. First, let's talk about the so-called protection plan. After the viral footage of King's jailhouse attack broke the internet, sources close to the Harris family claimed that T.I. was pushing to have King moved out of general population. The rumor was that lawyers were scrambling to negotiate a transfer, possibly even into solitary confinement for his own safety. But here's the kicker. Leaked reports suggested that other inmates were furious about the idea. One insider alleged if they move him, it's going to make it worse. People already think he's getting special treatment. That's a death sentence in here. Those chilling words spread like wildfire, turning Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram into battlegrounds of speculation. Fans debated whether keeping King among the general population was safer, or if isolation would only make him a bigger target when he eventually returned. Either way, the message was clear. King Harris wasn't safe anywhere. And then came the bombshell nobody saw coming. A new leak. This time, not a video, but documents. Screenshots of what appeared to be sealed court filings began circulating online. They suggested prosecutors were quietly preparing additional charges tied to King's reckless behavior and the October 2024 arrest. Gun enhancements, probation violations, and even whispers of connections to a broader investigation, if true. King wasn't just facing a bruised face and a few months in jail. He could be staring down years. Fans erupted with disbelief. They're trying to bury him. One viral tweet read. Another said, "This ain't about King anymore. They're coming for T through his son." The conspiracy theories spread faster than the memes. Some argued it was gang politics. Others swore it was old beefs from T.I.'s past finally coming full circle. And then there were those who believed it was all part of a calculated takedown of the Harris family dynasty. Meanwhile, the emotional fallout at home was devastating. Pamela Warner, King's mother, was reportedly seen outside her Atlanta home, breaking down in tears. Paparazzi captured the moment, and gossip blogs plastered it with captions like, "Pamela crumbles as King faces doom behind bars." Insiders whispered that she blamed T.I. for letting King play gangster instead of reining him in. One gossip site quoted her saying, "I begged him. I begged both of them. Now look where we are. My son is paying the price." T.I., on the other hand, was allegedly livid. Not just with the prison system, but with the entire narrative being spun online. He reportedly stormed into meetings with lawyers, threatening lawsuits against the correctional facility. A source close to the family claimed, "T feels like the system wants to make an example out of his son. And he's not going to stand by and watch it happen. But here's where the twist gets even darker. Anonymous inmate accounts began circulating on Reddit and Twitter, claiming that the attack King suffered was just the beginning. "That was the test," one account wrote. "The next one won't stop with a black eye." Whether true or fake, the words sent shockwaves through the internet. Fans and critics alike began asking the same question. Was King Harris even going to survive long enough to see freedom again? The cultural conversation shifted dramatically. This wasn't just gossip anymore. It became a morality debate. Was King a spoiled, reckless kid finally facing the consequences of his arrogance? Or was he an unfairly targeted young man being used as a pawn in battles much bigger than him? The internet was split. Some fans flooded comment sections with sympathy, urging people to remember that King was still just 19 years old. Others laughed cruelly, calling it karma and mocking his downfall. And just when the debate reached a boiling point, another leak set the internet on fire. A clearer, longer video clip from inside the prison. This time it showed guards rushing in late, dragging King as chaos erupted around him. Voices could be heard shouting his name, mocking his father, and promising it wouldn't be the last time. The clip ended abruptly, but the impact was undeniable. Within minutes, hashtags like #PrayForKing and #HarrisDynasty overtrended worldwide. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone wanted to know the truth. And that's where we're left, hanging on the edge of a cliff that only gets steeper by the day. King Harris isn't just fighting for his reputation anymore. He's fighting for survival in a world that doesn't care about fame, doesn't care about privilege, and doesn't care about last names. So what happens next? Will T.I. pull strings? To protect his son, will King Harris survive the brutal politics of prison life long enough to rewrite his story? Or is this the final chapter of a dynasty once untouchable, now crumbling in real time? One thing is certain, the chaos has only just begun. And now, family, I have to turn the spotlight onto you. Because after everything we've just uncovered, one truth remains. This story is still unfolding, and your voice matters in how it's remembered. King Harris, once living like royalty, on Instagram is now facing the fight of his life in a place where fame means nothing and survival means everything. But is this a cautionary tale about arrogance and consequences? Or is it proof that the system, the streets, and old enemies never forget a name like Harris? Think about it. The leaked videos, the whispers of orchestrated attacks, the rumors of prosecutors lining up even more charges, and the chilling threats from inside the prison walls. Every detail feels like another nail in the coffin of King's reputation. Yet, at the same time, it feels like the setup for a redemption arc that no one saw coming. Could this downfall actually become the making of him? Or is it already too late? This is where you come in. I want you to hit that comment section and tell me exactly how you feel. Do you think King Harris deserves another chance to turn his life around? Or has he burned through every ounce of sympathy with years of reckless choices? And what about T.I. and Pamela? Should they take responsibility for letting their son spiral this far? Or is King old enough now to own every mistake himself? While you're at it, smash that like button if you believe stories like this need to be told with all the raw truth. Share this video so everyone in your circle gets the chance to weigh in on the chaos. And most importantly, subscribe and turn on those notifications because trust me, this is only the beginning. New leaks, new twists, and new fallout are guaranteed to keep shaking this story. You don't want to be the last to know when the next bombshell drops. This isn't just celebrity gossip anymore. This is a cultural moment, and you're watching it unfold in real time. So buckle up, stay locked in, and I'll see you in the next chapter of this insane saga.